With the Chief Minister, and now we're going to look at the press releases you've got. Sickness in government, which was running at a phenomenal rate. Was it millions? Well, you know how many millions of pounds it was.
Yes. Well, it was one of the first issues which was raised with me through question in Tynwald, I have to say, at the time, after I was appointed. And early indications showed we were losing somewhere in the region of £14 million a year through sickness. Now, at a time when we're having to rebalance our budgets and cut back on public services in some areas, a loss of that amount could not be sustained at all. And therefore, we've had to take urgent action through our HR department to find ways of assessing, first of all, just how extensive these problems are, and then to take remedial action to reduce it as quickly as possible.
I mean, like for like with the private sector, it must have been well out of kilter then.
As far as we know, it was above the private sector, and I think slightly above the UK counterparts.
So was HR not doing their job? I mean, were people being let off easily? I mean, what have you done to address it?
We have focused very much on improving management reporting structures right across government to ensure that we pick up at an early stage where extended absence on sickness takes place. We are putting in support to enable those who are genuinely ill, who have a real problem, can get better advice and better medical support wherever needs be to get them back into work again. Because it's not just the government that's been losing out, it's the taxpayer clearly that's been losing out, but equally it's been the workforce's own colleagues which have been losing out as well, because one person's sickness is another person's extra workload, those who turn up for work, and that in itself can then lead on to further illness and through stress and overwork.
And we can't name names here, but any forum will give you examples of people who have been on the sick and it's costing you, the government, money. I mean, you've saved £638,000 already. I mean,
in the first 6 months.
So there's a lot further to go on this yet then?
Yes, and we were never going to get it back get it all the way down to zero. We've got to be realistic. But any savings we can make on these figures now has got to be beneficial. Both, as I say, in terms of government finances and also to take the pressure off the colleagues at work.
So really, it's more the eyes on the ball on this one now, is it?
I think so. I think government is very much focused on that. The management structures have been reviewed. HR's approach and policies have been reviewed. We are seeing widespread benefits. The number of days lost across the civil service has dropped by 14% in the last 6 months. Across the whole of the public service, it's 9.5%. And as you say, we've saved over £600,000 in the last 6 months. So we are making real headway now to reduce this figure.
We'll talk about this in a year, see how it's looking. Another press release about the Commonwealth future, the Isle of Man's relationship with it. I mean, I was interested to see here, you actually say we are not a full member of the Commonwealth.
Well, the Isle of Man can never be a full member of the Commonwealth because we're not a sovereign state in our own right. But we are obviously very involved with the Commonwealth, and particularly through areas like the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, where we are very active worldwide in working on various initiatives. We have, in fact, hosted a number of meetings on the Isle of Man over the years of the CPA. We have also, of course, hosted the Commonwealth Youth Games here very successfully not too long ago. So we do play an active part, but because of our lack of sovereign status, we can't be a full member at this stage.
And of course, many members of Tynwald go off on CPA little. No, I was going to use the word jolly, but probably you wouldn't like that, and maybe that's being disrespectful. But you know how it's perceived by the public. Suddenly there's a nice little chat going on in Bermuda or something, and you're sending people off to that. Does it have any relevance for the island?
I think it does. It's I know what the public perception is from time to time that any travel off island is deemed to be a jolly. That's far from the truth. It really is important to build relationships, build a better understanding with other Commonwealth countries in this case, to understand how different countries tackle their problems. It's an educational trip as well as a relationship building exercise. Overall, I think it has brought benefits to the island, but I can understand the criticism which is made.
Will it cost more money to have a closer relationship?
No. No, there is no financial cost at all in this. This is the House of Commons Foreign Affairs Committee recognising that both the Crown dependencies and the overseas territories should have a closer role with the Commonwealth, bearing in mind that all these countries are non-sovereign states and can't actually be full members. But you also need to look at the wider benefits from this. This is very much part of our strategy to raise the Isle of Man's profile internationally to win political friends. But if you look in the long term, the Commonwealth is going to be the source of considerable economic growth in that period. If you look at Canada, Australia with their natural resources, India is already one of the fastest growing economies in the world. Africa now is very much coming into the forefront of consideration for economic development. If we can build closer relationships with the Commonwealth countries on that level as well as politically, we will be in a strong position to help develop the economy in the long term as well.
Which finally leads me on to, you've got a little get-together this coming week.
Yes, I will be at the British-Irish Council in Cardiff on Sunday and Monday. This is a continuation of a long-term arrangement whereby the political leaders of all the devolved assemblies and the Crown dependencies meet periodically with also, of course, the Taoiseach in Southern Ireland to discuss matters of common interest.
Do you actually make appointments to see the people, or is it more a question of bumping into them at the bar?
It's a bit of both, actually. There is a fixed agenda. This time it's education, and my colleague, the Minister of Education, will be travelling with me. There is a general assessment of where the economy is in each of the jurisdictions, and it does give us an opportunity to have a number of organised formal meetings. But the real benefit of all these sort of events is actually the meetings in the sides, the building of personal relationships, the resolving of specific issues.
Have you got a few people on your little list to find and pursue?
There are always a number of people on my list that I find and pursue. It's a very, very hectic couple of days that we're there, and we use every minute to meet them. And of course this time will give me the chance to meet up once again with the Chief Minister of Jersey and Guernsey to review some of the very pressing issues which we're confronted with at the moment.